Hello, everybody, and welcome to another PropTech Ramble. I'm Michael Grant, the COO and co-founder of Metrikus. Today, we have three guests joining us to talk about the 5 biggest myths about smart buildings. We have Bengt Lundberg, the CEO of Disruptive Technologies. We have Mattias Danielsson, the CEO of Yancey Networks, and we have Dean Young, the head of product at Aware. Gentlemen, thank you all for joining.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, no problem. No problem.
Thank you, Michael. Excited to be here.
Yeah, likewise to have you guys on. So today we're talking about something that we discussed a bit briefly yesterday before we came to have it live today, about the 5 biggest myths about smart buildings. So there's lots of talk. There's lots of people who used to make it a dark art. So we're here to kind of have a conversation to talk about how easy it is to put a smart building in a box, as we've done with Metrikus very recently with all of your kits. So thank you very much for helping us with that. Bent, over to you. So just could you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about who you are and what Disruptive does for people who may or may not know that are tuning in?
Thank you, Michael. My name is Bengt Lundberg, and I'm the CEO of Disruptive Technologies. So what we deliver is a sensor and IoT platform that enables companies like Metrikus to build applications for a wider audience. And we provide tiny small sensors that can measure humidity, temperature, touch, and also objects. Easy to install, and I think that's kind of the unique thing with our solution is it's very intuitive to set up and very easy to install for everyone, taking away this engineering aspect of the installation, and also with extremely long battery lifetime that reduces also your operational costs. So I think that's us. Yeah.
Cool. Thanks, Bengt. Mattias?
Yes. As you heard, my name is Mattias. I'm lucky to be the CEO of Yancey Networks and Altacogni. I've actually been in the PropTech business now for a little more than 10 years, so it's been quite a run. At Yancey and Altacogni, we're currently, just like the previous speaker, we are delivering sensor hardware into the market. And we have just begun also pivoting and expanding our offerings relating to various support service and platform offerings. So very excited to be here today and talk a bit more about the challenges that we see ahead of us.
Cool, thank you. Dean, over to you, mate.
Yeah, I'm Dean Young, head of product at Aware, and we provide a platform for companies, individuals, hospitals, etc., to collect air quality data, understand their indoor environment, and communicate that to employees or anybody who shares that space. Track 5 to 7 different indoor environmental quality air factors, and just like a simple plug and play box. So yeah, pleasure to be here.
Cool, thank you. And it is the reason we're here, right? All of you guys make great products. We deliver solutions together to our customers, and it's one of the reasons we're talking about the 5 myths that it is apparently dark art and very hard to do. So we've got some questions that we put together here just because they're things that we're asked and questions that come about. So we haven't had any prior questions, or we did, but we decided today we'd run through some questions that we think are the most relevant ones to this topic. So the first discussion point, I should say, rather than questions, is and Bent, I will come to you for this one. Smart buildings are complicated to operate. So given your senses, given how easy they are to deploy, and all 3 companies here with me today, how easy they are to deploy, smart buildings are complicated to operate, Bent. So let's dismiss that myth.
Yeah, I think that's kind of, I think there are 2 aspects to that. One is kind of how much do you want to do in one step, which kind of make it tangible what you want to do. The other thing, of course, technology has driven the installation phase much easier now. And the thing that to deploy hardware has always been a huge challenge. Yeah. But more and more companies like us, they are coming now with easy to install sensors, also with an end-to-end connection in the cloud that makes it almost possible for every single person to install it themselves, as long as they decide what to use with it. I think that it's easy to overcomplicate this installation, but I think if you think about what you want to do, there are definitely products out there, including ourselves, that can support a very easy rollout together with Metrikus or to get you together with either Jansi or the other colleague here for the air quality. I think there are many solutions out there that can make this very easy.
There are, and I was just in a customer meeting literally before running back to do this in London, one of my first face-to-face meetings, which was fantastic. But they were asking, how do we connect? Because they had been told previously that to get the data out of the BMS was very hard, and then pulling it into another platform and connecting other sensors. So we kind of ran it through how easy it is with them this morning, right? I think because, and some of the building management systems and the FM companies are really moving with the times. Honeywell's a prime example, who I think are leading the way of becoming hardware agnostic and becoming a software company themselves. But 5, 6, 7 years ago, everyone made it a dark art. You have to have my hardware, my platform, my sensors, my everything, or else your building's not going to be smart and it won't work. So I think these days, anyone who still believes that is believing in one of the myths. But it is, given how plug and play it is, the box that we've put together with all three of you that we send out to people, and we've sent quite a few out, we've not had anyone come back and say this is too hard. So it's a proof point that it doesn't have to be overly complicated to get something going. So Dean, one for you, mate. So smart buildings can only be new buildings.
Yeah, I mean, I think that goes hand in hand with the first topic, right? Is like, that there has to be this huge, gigantic project, that planning from kind of soup to nuts, end to end, make sure that you're going to build it in and, rip out, everything and replace it. Like, no, you can retrofit and, just, again, based on the technologies that are available to us now, radio communications, like even spectrum, and the radio frequencies that weren't open to hobbyists and stuff like that, even 10 years ago, are making deployments much easier.
Yeah, it is something that we get asked. So the meeting I was at was for a brand new building, actually. But by the time we got to the end of the meeting, they were asking about their legacy buildings as well. And you're right. So coming from an IT background, I used to build data centers and was in unified comms and video conferencing years ago. Kit was big. It had to have power. It had to be plugged in, and you needed a really technical engineer to configure it. But sensors these days, I hate to use the word plug and play, but with all of your kit, it pretty much is plug and play, right? It is becoming that simple, and it's getting simpler and simpler and simpler. Your battery life, especially with, the guys at DT, 15 years, I know if you stick it on really hot stuff, the battery life depletes, but you're still getting 3 to 5, Dean, your sensor does a huge amount and still has a great 3-4 hour battery life if you want to move it around. And Matthias, we've got your sensors deployed. We've got some customers who've had your sensors in for 3 years and they're still going strong, right? So it just proves the market is changing. And yeah, any building could be smart. We've got DT sensors stuck on busbar in data centers and a load of other different places. So the next one, Matthias, over to you. So actually, this is more for Bent, I think, given we know some of the really industrial sites that you guys are doing. So industrial sites or labs can't be smart buildings. So, and I know for a fact they can, because you guys have got 3,000 plus sensors in an Ocado warehouse here in the UK, let alone all the other ones you've got.
Yeah, I think that, again, it's back to making things simple and robust for any kind of industry. Even though sensors are made for a special purpose, they can still be industry agnostic, which I think is an important key here. And making this technology, using temperature sensors for more than just measuring temperature, but building algorithm on top of that. Also, we in our portfolio has sensors that can detect water leakage. We can detect humidity. We can also detect objects far away by using magnets. There are technologies here combined with the long battery life that makes the sensor very robust, and also it's kind of watertight IP68. That's kind of another step into that thing, making the sensors available both for smart building, office environment, homes, or also industrial segments. So easy to clean, easy to maintain, and I think that's the key here, making a product that is robust enough to survive in those environments over long enough time. Then I'm talking about 5+ years in any kind of industry.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. We did a project with you guys probably 3.5 years ago now, where we did a massive industrial power regeneration plant in Germany. So, that industrial, right? Jansi, I know we've got some of your sensors, not hardcore industrial, but we've got them in some warehouses down near Heathrow as well. And Dean, we've got some of your sensors in a supercomputer room for the Met Office. So it's surprising me. It's very surprising, but again, one of the myths, right? That industrial means that you have to have, yes, DTs are IP68 rated, but not every industrial factory or warehouse has to have bulletproof, fully watertight sensors. There's a mix, right? So it is, we've got quite a few deployed across some industrial sites. But
I also think that you mentioned the industrial players in this market, like ABB, Siemens. They have kind of decided what should an industrial product look like. It should be heavy, but it doesn't mean it's a good product, right? But I think that's the perception people has, right?
Yes. Yeah, I agree completely. Yeah. Here's this sensor. It'll measure temperature. If you drop it on your foot, it will break it, but it's bulletproof. That's kind of the way it used to be. But yeah, not anymore. So Matthias, this one for you. So smart buildings and green buildings are the same thing. So agree or not agree, or?
I certainly disagree to that myth. We're actually very happy to say that some of the greenest buildings I know of actually run already on Jansi sensors, and they are using that sensor technology to really make an impact for the environment. We have a few great partnerships with companies that specialize in energy solutions. For instance, one with EcoPilot and others. And they actually have software that where they have shown in real buildings all across the world, actually, that if you connect your BMS to your Jansi installation or to any large-scale sensor install, you can actually optimize your building so that you deliver the same kind of environment and comfort for tenants that you would always do, while saving up to 40% of your energy usage from that building. And considering that in the EU, I think about 40% of the energy generated is actually used by buildings. That is, of course, a massive untapped market. And it's an easy way to quickly recuperate the full sort of investment into the technology by just deploying one of these systems. And we're really seeing that this market is heating up. There is a lot of competition, a lot of really good and cool solutions on the market, and a lot of investments as well. So I fully expect that within 5 years, this will become the norm in both new buildings, but also in retrofit fit cases. So this is very exciting and certainly something that we follow closely.
Yeah, I think your point on tech involvement and investment coming into this sector, I agree with. And smart buildings and green buildings, smart buildings generally do help you build a green building or retrofit to make a building greener. I think one of the biggest things, and I'm going to throw 3 letters out there that we talked about the other week, but ESG, right? Environmental social governance is huge and it's growing. Someone told me a stat the other day, and I need to try and confirm this because it's a big stat, is PwC are looking to hire, and again, I don't know if this is confirmed or not, so someone may have made it up to throw it at me, but PwC are looking to hire 10,000 ESG consultants over the next 5 years. So that's a big number, big space. So green buildings, net zero. We just joined Tech Zero yesterday or the day before. So green buildings are massively important. The energy usage is, it is 40% of commercial buildings are the contributor to energy usage globally. I mean, that's massive. So yeah, the smart buildings and green buildings are the same thing. Depends on what you're doing with them, right? So you can make a building smart, but you may not necessarily make it green if you just want to turn stuff on and off. If you want to actually try and reduce your carbon emissions and you connect to the energy meters, you can put sensors on buzz bar, you can put sensors in the HVAC systems, you can put sensors in meeting rooms, and you can see what's going on. Then you can adjust the BMS, or generally you can actually find that the BMS is not configured in the right way. And so it does lead to it, but if you're just putting some sensors in just to make it smart and make it look cool, that's not necessarily going to make it green. But it is.
Well, and are you making green the building green at occupants and things, right? I think
we lost you for a second there, Dean, unless it was just me.
Oh yeah. I think at the expense of occupant health and wellness or comfort. Yeah. Are you making it green and really like the using the technologies, like you can find the right balance.
Yeah, I agree. And then one of the things that we are seeing more and more people asking us for. The green credentials, ESG is getting bigger and bigger, and I think post COVID, everyone knows what indoor air quality is. Prior to COVID, no one knew what indoor air quality was. So, sensor deployments are just going up and up and up. So I think we're doing a project in Zurich with the landlord there, and one of their core objectives is indoor air quality, right? So and that is for two reasons. One is to prove to people the building, the air in the building is as healthy as it is outside, because in Zurich it's generally better than somewhere like the UK or India or China and things like that. And the other is that they want to have a reference point from an independent sensor to their BMS sensor. So when you've got accurate sensors like all of you guys do, it's easy to stick another sensor in, stick it on the wall where battery can last pretty much forever at the time you've got the building, and have that as a reference point against the BMS. And generally what we have found previously is the BMS sensors may not have been calibrated in every planned preventative maintenance schedule that they should. So when you've got sensors like we've got from DT within 0.02 of a degree accuracy, it's pretty compelling to say, Mr. Customer or Mrs. Customer, your BMS is out by a couple of degree, and here's the proof point of that. So there's lots of benefits from deploying, number one, additional sensors and easy to install sensors, even if you want to just deploy them for a short period of time to do a proof point within a building, right? So that may not be a permanent smart building, but it's helping you make the building greener by giving you a reference point on a temperature setting that you think is 21 degrees, but actually could be 23 or 24 degrees.
And I think that's a very good point also, that making the technology cheap and available, so you can actually have more reference points in the building that is installed for a longer period of time, so you can prove change over time. Because in reality, what you want to do is to track performance, right?
Yes.
And by having more sensors in there collecting that data over more time, you will also have more accurate measurements proving that you are going in the right direction. And I think what at least my experience is in any office is that the BMS system has some sensors there, but if you talk to people, they always have different perception. What is cold, what is warm, what is bad air, what is heavy air. But having sensors, at least you can have a discussion around practical data rather than what you feel as a person. And I think that's important both when it comes to temperature, humidity, and air quality.
Yeah, actually, Bent, you've just brought us on to the next point, which is something you just said is smart building tech is expensive. It's not anymore. A few years ago, it used to be, like 5, maybe 6 years ago, it used to be, but not anymore, right? I mean, as you just said, it's not actually that expensive anymore to deploy. We've got hundreds of all of your sensors deployed in customers because because it's not expensive. You know, if it was, then we wouldn't have hundreds and hundreds deployed across multiple buildings. So expense comes in. Someone has just sent in an interesting case study on heating and cooling fighting each other. So yeah, it's from one of our customers actually. So we put that. So they had a Dakin unit. They had a really funny, a very long rectangle of a building. On the north side was the heating system. On the south side was the cooling system. And before we put the sensors in, they had no idea that both the heating and the cooling were running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to try and bring the temperature up or down, whichever one it was fighting against. And we deployed some sensors. It was DT, put them in north, south, east, and west. And we found very quickly that as soon as we put the data in and we turned the heat map on, you could see the hot and cold spot. You know, it was like, wow, look, almost in the middle of the room, it goes from 19 degrees on one side to 24 on the other because they're both running. And then the power usage never went up or down. So they thought it was normal, but nobody had checked that. So no sensors have been put in to deploy that. And you know, we did that for a few £100, you know, just to get it going and prove a point. So it's not expensive to get stuff going these days.
And that situation is probably not unique. I think we experience, even in our office, every year when we go from winter to summer, because we have water radiators, right? And then there is one or two of those magnet solenoids that is not working. And then you are heating and you're going here. So I think it's quite common, actually. It's a general problem in terms of power waste.
Yes, I agree. I've got a question come in, guys. So I'll let whoever wants to answer it. And Avrili, what reasons are some FMs giving for not installing smart sensors in both new buildings and retrofit retrospective fittings?
I think one we get all the time is, well, you know, I don't want to just create more problems.
Yeah.
Is the sensor just going to give me more problems to fix? And I'd say that's really not the case most of the time. You know, there are either simple things that you can do, or just for the fact that knowing that you know, it really opens your eyes to like, well, you know, I can improve efficiency or productivity and all these sort of things. You know, people aren't distracted or tired in the afternoon or whatever, you know, the benefits may be based on the different sensors. So
yeah, we have had previously some FMs. So to kind of answer that kind of directly, and is we've had people just literally say, if we put these in and it exposes hot or cold spots in the building, I do have a job to do to try and fix all of that. So some people don't want to do that, right? I know I do say, and FMs either love me or hate me, so apologies, but some FMs do like to wear their underpants on the outside. But, you know, generally, some people are resistant to change, but it's coming whether people like it or not. Technology prices are coming down. Technology availability is going up. The accuracy of sensors, all of your sensors, is going up. It's easy to deploy. If you don't do it, someone else will do it. People can walk in. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got like sensors around me here. I've got 8 different indoor air quality sensors around me that's telling me what the temperature and the air quality is. If you don't do it, someone can go and buy one off the internet and bring it to your office. You've got to move with the times, right? You can't be resistant to change anymore, because if you are, someone else is going to do it for you. Given the availability of technology these days, someone else will bring a sensor in if you don't.
And that's not just speculation. I mean, we have had customers where that really happened, and especially in regards to things like VOC and CO2, of course.
Yeah.
Where customers or where employees come in and say, this might not even be a secure or a safe environment for your employees. So it's time to sort of stop sticking down your neck in the sand and actually sort of face the problem head on.
Yeah. There are a few reasons. Generally, it's they don't want to expose problems. Generally, some people don't want to make any more work for themselves than they've already got. It's you've got to look at the positives rather than the negatives, right? And I don't actually see any negatives apart from people not wanting to do it. So, there's only benefits from putting sensors in and starting to bring this data to life and putting it into a platform like ours. Even if it's not ours, it's someone else's, whoever platform it is. You bring it up, you look at it, whether your operations, your FM, your workplace, your HR, whoever it is, it's like, right, we've got data now. Let's do something about it together and fix it and figure it out. At some point, everything that your sensors do leads to savings. Otherwise, people wouldn't be buying them in the tens of thousands and rolling them out, right? So it's not the fact that people should not think they should do it. It's the fact that everyone should realize that by doing this, you will drive savings from somewhere, and it doesn't take long.
I think that's also sorry, Dean. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say that those facility managers, I mean, it's right there in their title, like they're thinking about the facility, and when you think about the assets of a company, yes, like real estate is a big part of that, but it's there to benefit the people. And that's, if not the bigger asset, the most expensive one perhaps is the people, because turnover and all those sort of things. Like everybody in the company, not just HR, should be thinking about people's health and wellness and comfort.
Yeah, I agree. Ben, sorry, you were going to say something.
Yeah, that was something on the line I'm going to say as well. Is kind of if you discuss with the operations guy or the CFOs of the company, all the tangible expenses is very easy to justify, right? If there is a energy saving or whatever, but the intangible savings in terms of people at work, more efficiency, is very hard to measure, right? And then you it's easier to ignore that issue until you actually tried it to see, yes, actually output is increasing. We have more happy workers. Our HR are more happy because our retention is good, so people are staying longer. So there's a lot of positive, non-tangible things that will happen, but it doesn't hit your P&L directly, right? And I think that's also something the world now is learning, and we are going in that direction, especially after this COVID-19 shutdown. I think will escalate that.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Not everything has a tangible benefit, but a lot more people, I think, are now open to the intangible benefits, looking outside the box, because there is a knock on there. There are things happening that people are seeing that may not be considered straight off the bat. So we've got another question from Paul Bamba. So this is an interesting one. So what's level one? So where do people start? What's level one smart for most business owners? Is it occupancy? Is it indoor air quality? Is it access control? What are you seeing at the moment? What is hot? Paul asks. So I guess we're all, you guys are all in the IAQ indoor air quality space, but you all branch out beyond that into other areas because your sensors can monitor data centers, buzz bar, lots of different things. So I guess for you guys, you're seeing different things to just straight commercial buildings, right? You see other areas growing as well.
Definitely for us, there are other areas as well. But I think it will vary a bit depending on your own environment.
Yeah.
And I think that's what Metrikus have tried to do now, kind of make a start package. You address desk occupancy, you address feedback buttons and smart cleaning aspects, and also air quality. And I think those are the main aspects you should start with. And I think the back to work strategy in terms of a safe workplace, in terms of cleaning, I think is going to be very important going forward to verify cleaning.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of that. We're actually seeing a lot. We've actually just partnered up with a company, an FM company in the US, Ben, as you know. So that's all about smart cleaning. That is growing rapidly. Paul, to answer your question, I think for us, what we're seeing is occupancy capacity, indoor air quality, smart cleaning. The access control stuff we're not seeing a lot of, but the other bits I've just mentioned, they're growing almost equally. If it's people coming back to the office, there's more and more people coming back. You can look at our occupancy index either on our site or on Bloomberg, and you can see people are coming back to the office. More and more people are back to the office. I mean, I walked from our office across London today, and it was the busiest I've seen it in a long time. I think the weather warmer is helping, of course, but I think more and more people are coming back. But smart cleaning is one that's really, really ramping up, because some people are not bothered about COVID. They don't think much of it. They're just happy to go back to work. But some people really are worried, and they want to know they're in a clean environment. They want to know that the rooms are being cleaned, or the desks are being cleaned, or the meeting rooms are being cleaned. So that's accelerating quite quickly. And being able to do that easily in a few ways, being able to deploy it quickly, being able to show the data quickly, and being able to prove the data quickly to people, I think is massively important. And with the tech from you guys, we do that, right? We do that daily. When it was one of the questions that wasn't listed in the RFP that we just discussed in my meeting before this, but it came up as we were talking, is like, can we use these sensors to do other things? Well, yes, actually, these push button sensors you can use to say toilet's cleaned or toilet needs cleaning or whatever it is. It's very, very simple. And I think it's going to evolve over time, but for straight commercial real estate, they're the areas we're seeing that are starting to ramp up. But I think the key behind it is easy deployment, because if it's hard to deploy and it needs lots of infrastructure, it will just take longer, because people don't want the effort of running loads of cables all over the place. So if it's a new build, not an issue, but the retrofit stuff, it just needs to be quick and simple.
I would actually like to take that, just to pick up on that. So deployment, of course, is important, but something that's really, really coming into its own right now is also change management.
Yeah.
Of course, you want these systems to run for 5, 10 plus years. Then there needs to be a story as well for how to control change and have an efficient deployment strategy for that as well.
Yeah, I agree. I thought I saw another one coming in. Maybe someone typed and then decided to stop. Gents, I don't have any other questions on the list. I haven't seen any more questions coming in, but I think we dispelled the 5 myths. But either way, it was a great conversation, and hopefully everyone listening got something out of it. Bent, Matthias, Dean, good to see you as always. Thank you very much for your time, gents. Have a good. Dean, you're up really early, I know, so whether you're going back to bed or getting up and spending the rest of your day, have a good day. And Matthias and Bent, enjoy the long, I think his longest day was yesterday or the day before?
The day before, yes.
Day before, yes. So, yeah. Enjoy the rest of your day, guys. Thank you very much all again for joining us. And the next PropTech episode, I do not know what it is, because no one's put it on my piece of paper, which they normally do. So you just have to wait and find out, because I haven't found out yet either. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Michael.
Thanks, everyone.